Hey, everybody. Welcome to Hangoutlander. This is episode 305, Freedom and Whiskey. We are going to discuss the latest episode of Outlander, and we're really excited. I am Becca, one of the co-owners of That's Normal, standing in for Beth, who generally leads us tonight. You will not see her beautiful blonde hair in the photos below or on the screen. I have no idea where she is. She's been really shady about where she is. I think she just needed a break. I think she knew this episode was coming up and didn't want to talk about it, and therefore didn't put herself on the schedule for Hangoutlander. So, let's go down the line and introduce the team tonight, starting with Heidi.
Hey guys, I'm Heidi. I'm one of the contributors here at That's Normal. I wrote this week's recap of Outlander. I am drinking. I have a funny joke about this, funny story about this rosé. So I went to the grocery store and I bought like the cheapest rosé I could find. And as I was buying that, a man behind me was like, "Hey, can I buy your wine for you?" And I was like, "Oh, that's weird because I'm married with children, but sure." And he's like, "Well, I'm a distributor and I always buy people's wine." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah. Oh man, that's so nice." And then my wine was like $4.50, and he kind of judged me, but that's okay. It's still good. So that's what I'm drinking. And let's go to Nikki.
Hi guys, I'm Nikki. I have this bottle full of water. That's not exciting. But I'm so glad that Heidi had to write this week's recap because last week was hard enough and a lot happened, so I can't imagine this episode. So kudos to finding 10 things about this episode, Heidi. Julie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julie. I also write for That's Normal. I'm just drinking coffee tonight because I already had a glass of wine, and if I drink any more, I'll probably be embarrassed and shame my family for the rest of my life. So I say we just go right into it and start talking about this amazing episode. 10 minutes, the last 10 minutes. But really, everyone loved this episode online on Twitter.
Well, we'll get to that. But before we do, let's talk about little housekeeping items. As you know, since you're watching this, and there's actually a lot of you watching within the first few minutes, so this is awesome. This is our weekly hangout we do on Mondays, every Monday during the season of Outlander, except for next week because there is no Outlander on Sunday. However, because you schedule your Monday nights with us, we actually have something very exciting. We have our next Boozy Book Club happening live, and this month we are reading What Happened by Hillary Rodham Clinton. You may have heard of her. She did not win the presidency. And another book that I should have looked up, but I'm completely forgetting. And everybody's faces down below also forget the book's title.
No, I'm reading it. It's One of Us is Lying. It's a young adult kind of horror story.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. So join us the same time, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, next Monday for that. Same thing. We'll be tweeting out the link. You can always go to our YouTube channel and see what's upcoming as far as events. And then we'll be back for Hangoutlander on the 22nd, I believe, 22nd or 23rd, whatever that Monday is. And as normal, please tweet along with us. Use the hashtag Hangoutlander. We are at @that's_normal on Twitter, but Hangoutlander, we'll find everything. Nikki is manning Twitter tonight, so she'll be chatting with you, retweeting the best stuff, and interrupting us to talk about what's happening over there. And we always give away a prize from our Outlander box to somebody that was, hey guys, look at my hand. Something is really, look how big it is. I'm really confused what's happening. Shadow puppets. Anyway, tweet along with us because we'll give a prize to somebody that is hanging out with us tonight online. And I have no idea what it's going to be, but it's going to be great because we have so much Outlander stuff in our Outlander boxes. So let's get into it, guys. We just discussed before we got on this call that somebody is tweeting that you can't see us. If you can see us, tweet that you can see us. We're not sure if this is multiple people. That would be strange if you can't see us. But let us know. Please keep tweeting. Can you hear us? People who say they can't see us. Hopefully. We'll figure it out if not, but hopefully that you guys can. In the meantime, we wanted to just go down and discuss some things about the episode, maybe one thing, each of us, that we enjoyed about this episode this week. However, it cannot be in the last 10 minutes. It cannot be anything about Roger. And it cannot be about Jamie. Heidi, you wrote the recap, so you get to go first.
Oh, that's so mean. Okay, I got it. Whenever they were in Harvard and Brianna was sitting there bored in her class, and then it was Lord Merton from Downton Abbey was her professor with an American accent. That was fantastic. I guess that's my favorite moment. I also really liked the part with Apollo 8 and how Joe made the comment about how hard it must be to come back to Earth after an experience like that. And then I made the joke that, like, of course, Claire made that about herself, which she did. But I also really like that juxtaposition of, like, she's been somewhere almost as foreign as the moon. That was good. What did you think, Nikki?
Sorry, I was trying to figure out if our Hangout was working, and it is working. So maybe refresh your screen if you're not seeing us. Anyway, my favorite moment of the episode was Brienne remembering Frank, because that's what I did. I just sat there remembering Frank and wishing there were more scenes with Tobias. And actually, I thought it was Brianna's or Sophie's best acting moment. So screw you, haters.
I have a question about that scene, though. Had we ever seen him sit in that chair or smoke a pipe at any point?
I think he maybe held one at like a party or something. It looked like a prop, like a bubble pipe, more than any other, and more than him actually smoking tobacco.
It seemed really out of left field. Like, did he? Okay, I guess he smoked a pipe and we didn't know that, but that sounds relaxing.
Well, he died early death.
I hadn't watched it in a while, and she pulls the pipe out, and I was like, smell it, smell it. I just started yelling at the screen. I was like, yep, there she goes. Smell the pipe.
Julie, do you have any thoughts?
I really like Joe Abernathy. I think he's a good actor. I think, he's just that carefree friend that you all want, who gives you really good advice but doesn't seem overbearing. I ship him. I would. I'm wanting some fan fiction with some Joe and some Claire. I know she's going to be with Jamie, but give Joe a chance. Let's give Joe a chance. Give Joe a chance. I really like him, and I hope we see him in future episodes, that this wasn't it for him, because I really do like the guy.
So he's going to come to Scotland. So I just watched the episode kind of live last night, and so everybody in our group that we text with about the episodes has been talking about it all week, if not longer, because a bunch of you guys watched it weeks ago, and then Heidi obviously was doing the recap this week, so there's a lot of conversation. So I heard a lot about the opinions. So I will say that the thing that I probably enjoyed, besides the things we're not allowed to talk about enjoying this week, was that I actually expected to not enjoy Sophie's performance as much as I did. I'm not going to say that it was the best thing I've ever seen, but I think after hearing our friends complain this week, I expected worse. And I don't think it was as distracting as I think some of her acting has been in the past, which is like very big and dramatic, and it just kind of like doesn't fit with the rest of what's going on. It felt she had a lot of scenes, and I think she did a lot better job. So I'm going to say that. I know that there's some differing opinions in our group, as well as some friends of ours that totally disagree, that they're saying we're way too harsh about her all along. So please share your thoughts. And Nikki, if there's anything good people have to say about Sophie Skelton on Twitter, please share this as well. Or bad, whatever. So that's probably my thoughts. Go ahead, Nick.
There's plenty of moments that people like. A lot of them like Joe as well. They like Boston cream pie. Guess that's not it. There's a few Brie moments that they found believable. And it was a glimmer of improvement that Laura Sue VT is clinging to.
That's a great point. Glimmer of improvement.
At Alicia Meredith 1 says that she really likes Brie's hair. That was her favorite Brie moment.
Hey, Brie did look beautiful. That's true.
Her hair is great. It's fantastic.
Claudia liked Brie's sweater. We're digging deep, guys. If it's not Sam or it's not Jamie, Roger, or 10 minutes from the end, we're digging deep.
So, okay, let's jump into a couple of the details for this week. I just took a couple notes. I know, Nikki, you have a couple notes too, but one of the things I wanted to discuss was Claire and the mistress. Or was it Sally? Is that her name? Sandy. No, with an S. Something basic with an S. That just felt unnecessary. I don't know. I guess I don't know why that was necessary. That's not from the book, right?
Mhm.
Right. And it just wasn't necessary. And so I wanted to get other people's opinions. Like, is that stupid? Is that something that we should be so concerned about? Heidi, I don't think I got that far. Or maybe I just stopped on your recap. I haven't read the whole thing. Tell us what you said this week.
So what I said this week was that I understood why they did it. Your cat is cracking me
Really?
up.
Is he taking a bath? Oh, God. Oh. Oh, I can't even see him. Sorry.
So what I said this week was I understood why they did it. Oh my goodness. I understood why they added the scene in. It was necessary to show one, the end of Frank's story line, because it showed that they understood two different types of Franks, even in just I think Frank would have hated this. And Claire said, no, Frank would have loved this. They knew two different Franks. And they had two different love stories with him. So I understood that. And then also it was kind of, in my opinion, a lazy editing choice because it gave Brianna the chance to be in the room and see the moment when she goes, oh, wait, I recognize that woman. And that woman is someone important to him. And he used to look at you the way that Daddy used to look at, he looked at her the way that Daddy used to look at you. And it was a moment of, oh, my dad wasn't perfect. He wasn't the victim I always looked at him as being. Maybe there's more to this and I can have an adult conversation with my mom. So I viewed it, my initial reaction was the same as yours, Becca, where I saw it as like, oh my gosh, that was so cheap, like daytime soap opera.
Yeah.
See the mistress come in and we're going to have a girl fight right now. Like the show should be better than this. But at the same time, it did play a role and it was fun to watch because who doesn't like seeing Claire stand up against her mistress? So as much as I, as a viewer, understood why they did it, it also turned me off. So I understand both sides of that one. Felt like a lazy editing choice to me.
But for me, it goes back to that, and you guys can argue with me on Twitter, go for it. But I have this issue where it felt like Frank and Claire, not Bree and Frank, that would have been nasty. That Frank and Claire kind of had this open marriage. And when she stopped sleeping with him, they slept in separate beds like roommates, like Bert and Ernie. Like that's how they were. So when, for her to approach the mistress and kind of like have that confrontation, I kind of felt like, but no offense, you stopped sleeping with the guy. He had to go find comfort somewhere. This woman gave him that comfort. So I don't know. I mean, I understood it had to progress the story forward. I get that, but I did feel like sometimes it was just a cheap little shot.
I know that we don't always like to talk about like what happened in the books, but do you remember how they, like Brianna kind of understood that side of her dad, that he wasn't perfect in the books without that thing? Is that just not something that we worried about?
I don't think it was something that we were worried about.
I think it's only ever just implied, at least as far as we've read in Voyager, that even happened.
Yeah.
Let alone that there was an arrangement or people knew names. That was never even talked about. So.
Claire said in the book that Frank would do his best to hide a lipstick on the collar, that when they would go to these soirees, she would look over and there'd be a woman looking at Frank, and Claire kind of put two and two together. But Frank never brought home a mistress. He never said, this is this person I'm dating. I went and saw this movie with her. So it was always implied, like Nikki said, and Claire had her suspicions, but it was never confirmed.
So Julie, what bothered you about that scene was that several things, but the main thing that bothered you was that Claire overreacted?
Well, I feel like there is an overreaction from Claire, and that in that regards that she and Frank at that point had been married for 20 years, right? Am I correct by saying that when
more than that?
Well, more than that.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm sorry. At that point, that was the 20-year mark. Sorry, I'm thinking about Brianna's age and everything. I'm sorry. She and Frank, when she returned to that present 20th century, she and Frank there was no, they slept in separate beds. It was this, I'm going to safely assume that they stopped having sex. It seemed like they did. There was just a marriage, a convenience for Bree's sake. So I guess for me, it felt like she pulled away from him, he pulled away from her. They were roommates at that point. So for me, I felt like it was a slight overreaction just due to the fact that their marriage had been completely falling apart, completely and utterly falling apart. And for her to be like, oh, I can't believe this woman came or was here, and I can't believe this. It kind of felt like for me, like, but you're a highly intelligent woman. You could put 2 and 2 together. You probably know he's had his needs fulfilled.
Well, supposedly it was an arrangement, right? Like,
yeah. Well, it felt like it. It was, I felt like, and Nick, you wrote about, no, Amy wrote about this, right? Yeah.
Yeah. They say it literally at the breakfast table. Like, we agreed, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Like, I think it just comes down to like lazy storytelling of just having to put it out there instead of implying things as if the viewer is stupid. Sorry, there we go. That's what they're doing.
And that's it. I think it's the sense that we're smarter than that. Claire is smarter than that. I just felt I understood where everyone's coming from by saying, no, but it had to give Bree that opportunity to see about her father. But did she have to see that about her dad? You know, like, I don't know.
I think where I felt like it was an inappropriate reaction was back 2 episodes ago whenever Claire was so mad. I felt like that was her inappropriate reaction, was like you made this arrangement. But in this situation, where it was a professional thing to come in and honor Frank at his job and open up this fellowship, that felt like Sandy should have kept her mouth shut and pretend like she wasn't part of this in a professional setting. That's where I felt like her anger was justified because of where they were. Otherwise, I totally agree with you. Like, they made
no. And that's why I felt it was just, let's make this woman look like the bad guy, and Claire once again the hero. And I'm just like, it was a sad situation for everybody involved, and for this woman to go and essentially verbally abuse Claire in a public setting, for me, it didn't show women in a good light.
It's just also like, they were together for how long? Like, a long time. Him and this mistress, from what we understand. Like, this is when she decides to confront the women. Why not confront him when you still had a chance to be with Frank? Like, it was just a very, I don't know. I understand. Yeah, you're right, Heidi. And like what you said, that makes sense why they chose to do that. That was the vehicle I think they used to show that relationship, especially with Bree.
Yeah.
But
I have a user on Twitter. Her name is Beth Thorne. She said, she's just waiting for the Star Wars trailer. Anyway, she says it doesn't matter what kind of arrangement it was. That woman had no place accosting Claire.
Right. And I understand that. And I understand, like, no. And that's why I felt it was so catty, and it didn't show. These are 2 highly intellectual women. And you would expect more from them and that's why I felt it was cheap. I felt it was almost unnecessary. But, you know, the girls were crazy for Frank and his thingy. So what can I
say? Bias.
Ladies love Frank.
Ladies love Frank.
Speaking of drama, should we talk about the Christmas?
Yes, I was going to just bring that up because Heidi is saying tonight that Roger can crash our Christmas anytime. So let's discuss Roger showing up on Christmas Eve or whatever day of the year. Was it Christmas Eve?
So in the book, in the book, he sent, I think, a telegram is what someone said in the comments on our article today. And that was how he told her, like, hey, I found Jamie. And then she flew to Scotland, and that was how it all happened. So he just shows up on her doorstep at Christmas time without a phone call or hey, I'm coming. And Brianna opens the door like, what do you want? And it was really angry, and it was abrasive. And then her whole face changes when she sees him. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't completely hate her character. She loves Roger, and so do I. So we have this in common. I think Roger's great. I described him as soft, where Brianna is hard and a good listener. And he reminds me, in all the good parts of my husband, reminds me of Roger. So I'm like, oh, Roger, I love you. So Roger shows up to Christmas uninvited, and he has this big news. And then about the fact that he has found Jamie, as a printer, is printing seditious paperwork, including a poem, Robert Burns poem that quotes the Freedom and Whiskey, like on the nose, Freedom and Whiskey, the name of the title of the episode. And they realize Alexander Malcolm is him, and he is only on the parallel timelines a year apart. And if Claire wants to, she can go back. And we all are like, please go back, please. I'm ready to go back. And Claire says, no, I can't leave Brianna. So, and then Roger just stands around in a black turtleneck talking about Boston cream pies and lobster rolls after that. So that is Roger. He's adorable. He loves Brianna. Not sure why, but they just seem to be happy together. He loves history and she loves architecture, and he just wants his mom-in-law or future mother-in-law, maybe, spoiler alert, to go to Jamie and be happy. So who doesn't like Roger? Seriously, if you don't like Roger, Karen doesn't like Roger. I know that. I don't understand
Karen,
that.
Yeah, Karen likes Sophie.
Crazy.
Yeah, and Brianna, so she's crazy.
She's crazy.
I loved watching you talk about Roger because it was literally just a hard eyes.
It's like watching Nikki talk about Tobias.
Well, you know.
It was very hard eyes. Yeah, I don't really have many complaints about Roger. I mean, he is adorable and delightful to watch. He like steals any scene he's in, and he's so like eager but yet lovable. I usually don't like that eager character, but he just is delightful in his eagerness. And you did like, okay, so what was it? Was it last episode where they kissed and it was horrific? Yeah, it was after Geneva, right? And then they had their kiss and like it just didn't work. And then there was this. I think it was their first kiss. They only kissed once this episode. Yes, feeling like I watched it 1,000 years ago instead of less than 24 hours ago, and that was great. Like that was actually like okay. Oh, there is a little chemistry there. Like that's exciting. Like, are we going to see them in some golden bed sheets on some poster in our email inbox someday soon? Spoiler, we'll discuss that in a moment.
I think for me, Roger is like how Frank was. So I didn't really care for Frank in the books. I didn't care for Roger in the books, but the show has made me like Frank, and the show has made me like Roger. And Rick Rankin, or whatever, how you ever say his name is. He has charisma. He does steal every scene he's in. He really does an excellent job. There's certain scenes where it's pretty much easy for him to steal the scene. I won't mention when, but he does steal a lot of the scenes, and you're fixated on him. He's a lovable actor playing a lovable character, or he makes him into a lovable character, for me at least.
So how much of that do you think is like us loving the character? Like, we didn't know who he was. I know a lot of people in the fandom have known who he is. We're like championing him. But until we saw him at Comic-Con, like Julie, I'm talking like you and Nikki and Beth and I, like we were like, oh my gosh, this guy's like amazing and adorable. Like, is that what's making us like him? Or do you think that it is a combination? Is that why he's playing Roger so well? What do we think?
I think he's just a really good actor. Plus, he's hella likable, especially as we saw at the Outlander panel at Comic-Con. I think the scene that really, there's 2 points in this whole episode, but the first scene that like really drives home that he's doing so well is that scene between him and Claire after Bree has left, and he's telling Claire, hey, I found him, thinking she's going to be so jazzed and so excited, and she's like, pretty much, why did you do this? Now I have this terrible decision, essentially, to decide. And he just looks so crestfallen every time, the camera goes back to him. And he's just doing such a great job. And he goes, oh, I've got to go to bed now, after he tells her all this because I'm so jet lagged. There's just something about their interaction that's just really heartfelt and well acted. And I was hard-eyed for that moment. And then what?
He's like in a freaking black turtleneck. I don't know if it's that scene, but like it's like the sad, like a man in a turtleneck. It's not a hot look, but it's just so like adorable and like sad and so cute, and like you just want to grab him,
give him a hug. Yeah, he's
you want to wrap him up. You want to wrap him up and but you don't, because he has the turtleneck on, and that could just suffocate him even more. No, you know what? Nick, you're right. I mean, yes, when we did see him at Comic-Con, not to like brag or humble brag about that. But when we did see him at Comic-Con, he was very, and Becca, you and I got to see him, I think, twice, because he was at the Entertainment Weekly Brave Warrior thing panel. And that's when Becca and I kind of looked at each other and went, oh, yeah. Well, hello, Rick.
He was awesome.
And then, but I think, no, he is a good actor. And he is one of those people who just, when he gets into a scene, he makes you believe everything. And you're just sitting there with him, like you said, Nick, that scene. When that is my dog. Yes, that's my dog barking. I'm sorry. She's a Yorkie and she's got the loudest bark. I'm not kidding you. I'm so sorry. But yes, you do believe him and you do feel for him when Claire yells at him, because he thought, he traveled all that way to deliver her this news, and then to see his heartbreak, you kind of get angry a little bit at Claire, but you understand where she's coming from. But he did such a good job with that.
Yeah. Twitter is offering some suggestions and / comments about Roger. Ashley is saying, I don't like book Roger, but I really like show Roger. Just like us. Yeah. Jamie says, Rick is doing a great job of carrying the scenes. Bree and Roger scenes would be completely unbearable if it wasn't for Rick.
And I do
think it's like...
Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think he's giving us the respite from some of Bree's or Sophie's choices.
Sophie's choice.
Sophie's choice. He is a real Sophie's choice.
Like, I am hopeful for their chemistry, right? Like, I don't know that they've had chemistry in like their conversations yet, but like that kiss, I would say, gives me a little bit of hope.
It got better. I think I'm a little scared that Twitter is saying that Roger's going to be singing at some point.
Oh, we know that's a bad thing.
I had a question about that, if you guys think he's going to, because in the books, that's a huge thing, his singing, and it hasn't happened yet. So I was thinking it wasn't going to happen. You think it's going to?
Do you think that's going to happen in any way that's not so freaking cheesy?
Oh, God. Because it was terrible in the first season. Oh.
Please tell me he sings this theme song to Outlander.
I really hope that was his audition. He came in and sang that.
No, he's gonna come. He's gonna like, maybe at some point he'll go through the Stones. I don't know. And when he does, if he does, he's gonna like sing the Batman song or something, like the Batman theme song, because that's a thing that needed to happen in Outlander this week. We don't even literally have to talk about that, but just as
we
a
have
reminder.
to, because everyone on Twitter wants to talk
All right,
about
everybody wants to talk about it. Let's bring on the Batman discussion. They played the Batman theme song in Outlander this week. Discuss.
Well, first off, it started with, and I agree, like I feel like Sophie wasn't terrible this episode. There was things that I really liked about her emotional goodbye with her mom, and even the way that she did her goodbye with Roger at the end with the lobster roll and the Boston cream pie. I thought those were well done. But when she said, you really do watch a lot of TV, to Roger, and then it busted into the Cape Crusader Batman song, I just watched it like this. Like, this is not happening. This is not happening. This is not happening. Why is this happening? I can't watch this. It was terrible. It was bad. Bad.
So
I keep seeing people, I keep seeing people talk about how that what was bad about it is that Claire wouldn't be able to sew. No, that is not what's bad about it. What's bad about it was the song. The song was what was bad about it.
Yeah, and I didn't even recognize it because I was just like, what is this music? And I think I texted everybody, you guys, like, it's the Batman song. I'm like, what? What do you mean it's the Batman song? And then I realized, like, oh my God, it's the Batman song.
Theme song.
I
mean, it worked in that it was Batman 66. It was the 60s version, sure. And it was kind of cute that she was making a costume, essentially, because it has, as we know, has like all kinds of pockets and essentially a utility belt. I get it. It was a little heavy-handed. It was a little cheesy. It went on a little too long.
Yeah. I just kept on thinking about Sam Heughan when he was touring as Batman in that stage production.
Full circle.
Is that an Easter egg for Sam? No, it wasn't. But it was kind of, it was cheesy. And going on, that notion of like Claire sewing and everything. I mean, I don't know. I was just like, oh, I get what you guys are trying to say. I get it, but it was silly. It was very, very silly.
And there's places where the time period music works. Like even when Roger's getting out of the taxi and it's the 60s music, that totally worked. That was fine. It's not like I have a problem with the time appropriate music, but the Batman song.
No, it just cheesed it up in this way that like obviously I think it was supposed to be funny and cute, and it wasn't. It was just cheesy as hell.
And also, do we really think that Claire, who said she's sewn a few Halloween costumes, could whip that thing out? I was like, she revealed it, and I was like, does she know how to sew a buttonhole? Can she make a pocket? Like, too many questions.
Also, she grew up like with a man, right? Like all overseas. Like Claire doesn't know how to sew.
Yeah, I'm sure she could like sew a hole up, you know, but she knows how to sew like pleating and darts and like that's like some A levels right there.
She knows how to sew up skin, and how do we know that? Because they show it in every one of the opening credits. There has to be Claire like sewing up someone's skin. But whether she knows how to, make a pleat perfectly, that is up to debate. So,
all right. I feel like we've gotten most of the superficial things out of the way. So I have a very important question. I'd love for this to be a Twitter poll. And so here's the question. Would you leave your child for your lover? We're getting some head shakes. Heidi, I see your hand.
I have baby daddy.
Slash baby daddy, right.
Oh. So yes, Roger. I might leave her for Roger. No, I'm just kidding. So I have 3 children. They're young, so it's hard to kind of picture them as a 20-year-old. I have a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And I wouldn't leave. I can't imagine a situation where I would leave my children parentless. She's already lost her dad, and then to leave them for some, as far as Brianna is concerned, some man, I cannot even imagine that happening with the intention of possibly never coming back and dying and leaving. You're signing over the deed of your house. You're writing a will. You're quitting your job. No, I cannot imagine a situation in which I would leave my child at such a formative time or ever. No, wouldn't happen. And plus, I keep thinking, how is she going to explain to Jamie, who saved her for her child, sent her away to save Brianna, that she just up and left her? I cannot. Yeah. No, wouldn't happen. Would not happen. I feel like they did an okay job explaining why, like that Brianna encouraged her and that she was on board with it and that she didn't make the decision in a vacuum. I thought they did as much as they could. But if you took yourself out of that, no, I would not leave my babies. No.
Even your grown babies. Like, obviously, we're not talking about a 3-year-old here, but we are talking about still your child, right? They're always your children. I think we talked in one of the Hangoutlanders or somewhere or everywhere online, I don't know, about how it would have made more sense. It could have explained this more had they kept Frank alive, right? That could be a little more understanding. Then you can understand why Claire would leave because Brianna has one of her parents there. And that didn't happen. And that could have just been a really easy fix for something that's a lot harder to by watching it on television. Now, obviously, we have the advantage of knowing what's happening in the future. But people who are watching, Kyle was going to join us tonight. And if you guys remember Kyle, he hasn't joined us yet this season, but he's not a book reader. So he's watching live, learning about things for the first time. So I really wanted to get his perspective on this and to see like what he was thinking. He did have a couple thoughts, but they weren't about this episode. They are about Lord John Grey, though, of course. So I'll share those in a moment.
Of course.
But any other thoughts there?
No, I just think that. Oh, go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I would love to have a parent of an adult child weigh in. Yeah. Not that I don't think you're completely on the money, Heidi, and the poll already shows that. But someone else pointed out, is it different when it's an adult child? Still, she's like 20-something years old and in a really crappy moment of her life. I thought it's a rough age to.
It is a rough age. And for her, this was my thing too. At 20, everybody think back to when they were 20 years old. 20, not 27, not 28, not 29 or 30, whatever. But 20 years old, you're in that delicate balance of teenage and adulthood. And it's just still such a delicate time. And you're still trying to figure things out.
And she just flunked out of Harvard. Like, things aren't going well.
No, her dad is dead.
Exactly. Mom gone, dad dead, Harvard gone, random Scottish man shows up at her doorstep.
And I felt like that was what they were doing, was like, she has a new family. She's making new family history and a new traditions with Roger, and they're doing their whole thing. And like, I get it. That's the direction that kind of goes from here, was that she has her new family with Roger, but it just felt like they barely know each other. She just met him over the summer
twice.
No, he's not her family. He's not.
No.
And I have a husband. He is not my mom. So it's not the same thing. It's different. You need your mom, especially once you have kids. She talked about not meeting her grandkids or not walking her down the aisle. Like,
that's when I think it became really real to me. I'm like, is this actually a conversation that could actually, obviously we're talking about a time travel story. So obviously this is all just in theory, but is this a real thing that you can have with your adult, semi-adult child? Like saying, I can't believe I'm not going to see you. Like, that's a conversation that happens when, mothers are on deathbeds all the time. Like, that's a real thing, but they're not making that choice. It was, I don't know. And what's happening about on Twitter, Nikki? Any real good thoughts?
Oh, I thought I was muted. Never mind. I'm not muted. Let me go to the poll, if I can get back to that page. 1 second. Dead air. Sorry.
Well, I'll say this as Nikki's looking for that. I'll say this.
Thank you.
As adults, I mean, like Heidi said, we're at a certain age where we still rely on our parents for certain things. Right. And especially for some of us whose parents are starting to get older and age, I can't imagine it. It's so difficult for me. My brother is going to be 46 years old. Sorry, Mark. 46. And my mom has flat out said, wherever he moves, I'll move because of the grandkids. I mean, my brother could move to Timbuktu. My mom would be looking into real estate. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I just find it very difficult at 20 to say to your daughter, or when her daughter, daddy gave you me, it's time for me to give him back to you. I'm like, no, it's not time. It's not time. Hold up. Yeah. Give me a few more years. Or I don't know, take me with you.
Yeah. Why was that not an option? They sort of said it for a second. Heidi, how many times did you watch this episode?
So many times. So many times. No, they didn't say why she couldn't go through the stones, but they did say why she didn't want her to go to Scotland to say goodbye at the stones.
Okay, maybe that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, my mom was gone to Europe for a month last month, and I was like, "Where's my mom?" So I can't even relate. No, and I'm 33, so no, it would not happen.
Okay, the Twitter poll. Would you leave your child for your lover? 38% yes, 62% no.
Oh.
And the number keeps going up. So
all right.
it's not scientific, but
pretty scientific. Those 38%, give us some reasons, man. Like, you have shitty kids.
And the reason
lover that great.
We all have shitty kids.
Cannot be Jamie.
Yeah, it can't be Jamie. Exactly. He's not your lover. It's just not going to happen. Sorry.
You're great, but he's not real.
Yeah. Once again, and I feel like I feel bad for saying this, but like Ash Jen Friend has a really good point. It bothered me that Bree didn't have the relationship with the Abernathys in the show. They stepped in to be her family, and I think in the books there's that sense of Claire has like a village when it comes to Bree.
Yeah. Right.
And in the show, she doesn't. So
they feel very much alone. Like, that was hard to believe a bit. But I do think that they did a good job. The goodbye was beautiful and heartfelt and sad. And it was some of the best acting that we've seen from Sophie. And that scene that you were mentioning, one of you said about, Roger and her building their new traditions right at the end when she leaves for just her moment, but then comes back, which was a little unbelievable, but also she did it well. It was what was written on the page. So she only had and I think she did a good job. It was beautiful. I mean, it was emotional. I felt it.
Someone in the post comment said that Roger should not have eaten that Boston cream pie and lobster roll because it was out at room temperature and he would have had a really upsetting American Christmas.
Same.
It's true.
I was like, where did she get that lobster roll on Christmas? Who's still making those?
Seriously.
Are lobster even in season in the winter?
Probably not. I don't know.
Oh,
I
wow.
don't know. Someone will actually us from Maine or something, Massachusetts.
Someone tell us.
Yeah.
My favorite part, and I put it on TN's Instagram story, so you should definitely be following us. And it's not a copyright infringement. Sorry. Was the part where Roger just looks at her while she's opening this gift, and I was like, that's why he got this role, because he's doing more with a look than she's doing the entire episode.
Yeah,
It was
that's
so good.
an
Anyway.
actor, right? That's a very good actor. Yeah, I think it was good. It was emotional. And then I knew I had been hearing all week long, hashtag last 10 minutes. Are we ready to talk about it? Is there anything in the previous 46 minutes we need to discuss?
Did we talk enough about Joe and how he's a really good friend and complimented her ass and
He
told her
complimented her ass, yeah.
Yeah, that he was good. Okay.
Yeah. You had said some good things about him. Like, everybody needs a friend like Joe, just like that platonic dude, but there's like a little bit of chemistry and he likes your ass.
He was friend zoned pretty hard, but
yeah, he was pretty hard. He definitely was. Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump into it. Last 10 minutes. So I've been hearing about it. You guys have been singing its praises. I was like, how good is this going to be? I actually didn't realize it was going to be what it was. I'm glad I wasn't spoiled. And so she suddenly, right, they're crying, it's emotional, blah, blah, blah. Then suddenly we're in Scotland. So that was like that big, like, aha moment. Like I was like, wait, what happened? What about the stones? But then you didn't need it. It was pretty awesome how they did that. And you were suddenly there because what we wanted and what was important was what was about to happen. And I think that they delivered. I think some of the best acting that we have seen in Outlander thus far happened in those few moments.
Yeah. And I think that's what everybody, when you say Voyager, the one thing everybody has said is do not get this scene wrong.
Yeah.
And they did not get that scene wrong. It was perfect. Just everything about it was just, for me, perfect. From even the lines, that's exactly how you picture it in your head.
What did you say? The what?
The lines. Like when he's like, Geordie, is that you? And she's like, no, sorry, it's not Geordie. I'm sorry to disappoint you, or something like that. That was perfect. I just loved it.
Heidi?
I'm just excited about how it continues to next week. Can we just go to next or 2 weeks from now so we can actually talk about this? Because this is just the amuse-bouche. This is the appetizer. Let's go.
I haven't watched next week's yet, so I'm going to do it in real time, like a real fan. I'm like you guys. I'm going to do it in real
probably will too.
time. I'm going to feel the emotions with everyone online at midnight on Saturday instead of on Sunday like we're supposed to, and it's going to be wonderful. So what I mentioned it in the recap, but one of the things I really liked was she got into the taxi, and I fully expected her to go to Scotland and to see the whole Stones scene. And instead, after watching the second time, because at first I was like, whatever, who cares, Jamie, he's coming. After watching the second or third time, I was like, oh, she's in a car, like just like in the first season where she had that car crash and it was the tumbling, and it was kind of, that was her, she explained that was what her experience was, like going through the Stones was kind of like that car crash. So that was like, oh, so that was kind of their transition, was her being in the taxi just like she was in season 1, which I thought was well done.
Girl, you watched this episode a lot.
Oh, I watched it. I watched it a lot, guys. And then the puddle was great. And then she walks, and there's the little boy, and then there's the sign, and she opens the door, and you hear his voice, and everything just stops. It's Jamie. He's right there, and he hasn't aged at all. You're the luckiest woman alive. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait for 2 weeks. It's going to be great. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I love that they didn't put music over it. They let the moment be the moment and not, try to cram false emotion into it.
Which is like not necessarily like them. So
or a voiceover.
Yes.
Yes, thank God.
There was no voiceover. And then I walked into Jamie's shop, and it was like
it smelled like onions.
Yeah, it smells like onions and longing. So I appreciate it. And for those who went to Comic-Con, you got to see the sign, and you guys know that like within the sign there's a little J and a little C for within the sign. I thought that was cute. But yeah, Jamie does not age, and that's okay because he looked good.
Yeah.
He was like, Pretty.
No one wants to watch a show about an old man Scotlander with missing teeth and raggedy gray hair.
Sagging man parts. No, I don't want to see
exactly.
that.
Not a thing any of us are interested in. So getting 2 weeks from now, today, Starz sent out a press release and released an image where our fandoms collide again because Jamie and Claire, I almost said the wrong names, are in the bedroom of Edward Cullen because they're in his bedding. I can show you. If you haven't seen it yet.
Gold bedding.
Yeah, this gold bedding is very much here. Can you guys see this? There we are.
There it is.
So let's break it down. How many abs do we see here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Look, it's pretty, 6. It's pretty good. I mean, I wasn't gonna complain. I did have like a moment of like, do I watch like a porn show? Like this is what we're doing to promote it? But I guess it is what we're doing to promote it. I mean, I'm not.
It's a little bodice ripper for my.
It is very, yeah.
Don't mock the bodice rippers. They have
I'm not mocking it or saying it's terrible. I'm just saying that's what it looks like. It looks a little Harlequin romance.
It looks like Bella finally convinced Edward to do it before they got married.
Also, where the heck is that bed?
Yeah.
Because Jamie has a twin bed, and pretty sure the brothel doesn't look like that.
I just want to know what filter they use because I'm going to use that from now on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's time to. We did a post on if Outlander took place in romance novels or something. I think it's time to update our Harlequin romance novels for Outlander because that one is quite steamy.
The Duke who loved me, the printer who
he printed his name on my heart and my other places.
If we're really going to combine fandoms, he imprinted.
Right, exactly. Imprinted upon me.
And underneath it should be forever, just like forever.
Hashtag forever.
Oh boy, no, it was good though. They look great. They look fantastic. They didn't age, so they look fantastic. So, and Sam has 8. And Sam has 8 abs. I counted.
You did. Somebody, I think it's Jana, I just saw on Twitter. I just missed it because there's so many tweets. Jana, our PW, said, I think they photoshopped some muscles out, actually. Well, actually, he has more muscles than in that photo.
His pecs did look a little smaller.
Not that anyone's counting, but
some people are asking where is that pic from? It's official. That's the official Outlander Starz. Yeah, that's from Starz. It's not fan Photoshop.
Yeah, we did not make that.
Yeah, you can see it if you haven't seen it. I'm sure it's on their Instagram and their Twitter, but it's on our Instagram. That's _normal. Yeah, you can find it there. Steal it. We can tweet it.
Put your face over it because we all know someone's going to do that at some point. They're going to put their face over Claire's or Jamie's, however you know.
Remember that face in a hole thing that used to be around like in 2008? We should make that face in the hole for
the Fraser on Twitter named that picture "the printer who poked me," and she's followed by Barack Obama on here, so he saw that too in my mind, which is great.
That was amazing. Barack Obama.
Printer.
The voice of Shannon said, "The printer that pressed me."
Yeah. I see Laura Sue VT said, tweeted us tonight and said 50% of me is watching tonight specifically to see if any of us let something good slip about 306. I think the only person who's seen it is Nikki. Did you finish it, Jules? No.
No, I did. I did.
Heidi and I have not.
It's good, but I'm tight-lipped. I'm tight-lipped. I just want to go back and let's just go and come up with other titles for that photo. I like the printer who poked me.
All right, you like that. Printer who poked me.
So, having seen 306, if you were Claire, would you leave Brianna in 305?
I mean,
how soft are those bed sheets?
I don't remember those bed sheets, so that tells you.
You know,
remember them. Oh.
You know, my daughter went, if I left and my daughter gave some guy a lobster roll and said, here, here's this book I got, I'd be like, yeah, you're right. I'm not coming back. My daughter just gave a guy a lobster roll, and that is not a sexual term.
And a Boston cream pie, which I'm pretty sure is a sexual
term. It is actually a sexual term. A lot of Bostonians are like, yeah, it is.
Beth has been tweeting us, texting us because I guess people are leaving comments on YouTube. Hey, YouTubers, sorry we don't ever check them, but glad that Beth's with you tonight. She said she wants us to talk about the skeleton.
Oh. It just felt like we got to put this in somewhere, so we're going to talk about the skeleton. It's going to come up later.
I don't remember. I remember it from the show last night. I don't remember the importance of that. Is that something we can say without spoiling, or no? We're not.
No.
Yeah. It's in the book.
Right. Yeah. I know it is, but I cannot remember. I'm sure it's something so important, and I'm going to get creamed on the interwebs for that. It'll be my first
Boston cream.
Also a sexual thing.
Creamed on the First, you're going to get Boston rolls.
Don't Google that.
And then you're going to get Boston cream pied on the internet.
I'm sure that is also a sexual thing.
Okay, so to talk about the skeleton, I thought she went a little white lady witch with the whole like, these bones have been murdered. It felt a very heavy foreshadowing. Obviously, it's going to come up again. It had no place in the story. It didn't help her relationship with Joe. It didn't help anything other than just that, those are going to be important later. So those will be important later.
Yeah,
it was like
it's shoehorned in.
Yeah,
it was like watching an episode of Bones, where she like looks at it and she goes, "Female, she was like this." And then like the music was so dramatic, and I was like, "Okay, we're good, thanks." Yeah, it was. If you read the books, it was for book readers that made you go, except Rebecca, who can't. Who's like, I don't remember. So I just think, yes, I know a lot of people are like, it's important. Jana just said, we know it's important. We do know it's important, but whether it contributed to the story as a whole, I mean, if they left it out, I wouldn't have been like upset. I wouldn't have been doing that. So I wouldn't have been really, like, how dare you? Where's the skeleton? I thought there was a fun time traveler element to that part, in that in the past, Claire knows who that person is, but future Claire, even though it's already happened 300 years ago, doesn't know. So that's kind of a fun little like, time traveling's, messes with your mind. And it's crazy that something that's technically already happened hasn't happened yet because she hasn't come back in, so that, I mean, I guess, but they didn't make that very clear at all, that that's what they were doing.
By the way, I just guessed. I remembered what it was, and Julie has confirmed I'm correct. So I'm caught up.
Ashley called it a forced foreshadow.
Yeah.
Also a sexual term.
Yeah,
totally. It's what you do after you do a lobster roll, but before you go to the Boston cream pie.
A forced foreshadow.
And then you get the skeleton. So no, it was forced. Like I said, it is important. I get that, but if they left it out, it wouldn't have hurt the story. And it would be, I don't think it'd be something that if we all looked back and go, God, I can't believe they left this out. I don't really think we would have been too hurt if they left it out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another, let's make the book readers happy moment.
Yeah. So, okay.
Whatever.
Thanks. We're just waiting for the print shop. Just give us the damn print shop.
Exactly.
I know. Like, whatever.
Countdown.
I don't need a skeleton.
What's the hashtag that we're going to come up with for the next 2 weeks? Countdown to the print shop. Like, can we bypass whatever Stars is going to decide to do the night before? And
what was the hashtag for
impossible choices? Didn't seem that hard for.
Didn't seem that impossible.
Yeah.
Easy choices. That's what it should be.
Yeah, exactly. Like leaving my kid.
The 2 week break should be just like hashtag Poutlander, because I'm just going to pout.
Yes, that's good. We took it. Copyright, that's normal. Copyright Heidi.
There we go.
All right, let's pick a winner for tonight to give something away from our.
I picked one. Where's the name? Laura VT, whatever. You email us. Whatever your name is, Laura in Vermont.
You know who you are, yeah.
Email us, admin@that's-normal, and we'll find something for you.
It's going to be great. It's going to be from one of our boxes. Awesome.
Also
any last parting words before we leave? Yeah, also a sexual term. Correct. Any more parting words of wisdom and many more turtleneck jokes? Also a sexual term.
Turtleneck. Oh,
gosh. We're not even drinking tonight. I mean, Heidi.
Nope. I mean, kind of, but it's that $4.50 wine, so it doesn't.
Yeah, it's like nothing, right? I had a couple margaritas.
Except for making people judge you.
Right, exactly. Outlander. Oh yeah, and just as a reminder, next Monday, it's not Hangoutlander, but it will be Boozy Book Club. We come to read 2 books. We're reading What Happened by Hillary Clinton and another book that Heidi's going to remind us what it's called.
One of Us is Lying.
Yes, by
I don't know who.
someone. Yeah, you can find it on That's Normal. Just look for Boozy Book Club, do a search, you'll find us. Otherwise, go to our Facebook page, and I think it's on our events.
It's by Karen M. McManus. Karen M. McManus. One of Us is Lying. It's good so far.
Yeah.
I'm on it. Yeah.
Cool. So we'll be there 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific next Monday night, and we hope you can join us. Thank you so much to everybody who watched tonight, and until next time, remember to hashtag Hangoutlander and Poutlander apparently for the next 2 weeks. Talk to you soon.